Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone, and honored to meet you in this beautiful day. Before starting our presentation today, let me introduce myself. My name is Fauziyah. This video was made to fulfill the final exam for the English business presentation, caused with a lecturer Mr. Niko Fediyanto SSMA. Here, I will present about insecurity. The purpose of this presentation is to provide knowledge about insecurity. I will take approximately 5 minutes, more than your time. This presentation consists of 3 sections. The first, I will start by talking about insecurity. The second, I will talking about the effect of insecurity. The third, I will talking about how can I overcome insecurity. Okay, in the first session, talking about insecurity. Have you all felt inferior in life? Whether you are suddenly still in school or have graduated, even though you already have a job. Of course, everyone has a sense of insecurity in themselves. Whether it's insecurity about failure, anxiety about life in the future, and so on. We are called a narcissistic generation. We are told that technology and social media are giving us an inflated sense of self. But most of us don't walk around feeling like we are all the great. In fact, there is one underlying emotion that overwhelmingly shapes our self-image and influences our behavior, and that is insecurity. If you could enter the minds of people around you, even the narcissistic ones, you are likely to encounter ceaseless waves of insecurity. A recent survey found that 60% of women experience hurtful, self-critical talk on a weekly basis. If we have experienced it, then what will we do to deal with this insecurity? Respond with positive things or vice versa. So, what does insecure mean? Insecure can be interpreted as a feeling of insecurity that everyone might feel in this life. Insecurities can happen to us when we feel inadequate, ashamed, guilty, even to the point of feeling unable to do something. When this feeling of insecurity controls us, it will trigger feelings of increasingly insecure that exist in us. Another consequence that will arise from this insecurity is that a person can become afraid to interact with other people. This can be due to possible weight, different skin color, and other physical differences or any differences that cause a person to feel insecure and thus feel insecure to interact. Okay, let's move on in the second session talking about the effect of insecurity. The problems that will arise from protracted feelings of insecurity will be very detrimental to yourself. So recognize the sign of insecurity within yourself as follows, so that we can get out of a prolonged sense of insecurity. Number 1, don't want to get out of your comfort zone. Many people who don't want to get out of their comfort zone are usually the result of unpleasant past experiences such as being disappointed, betrayed, and other bad feelings. These various kinds of fears will indirectly hinder you from being able to develop for the better. Number 2, likes to compare yourself with others. We need to remember that everyone has their own time in life, be it success, marriage, having children, and so on. We end them out there too may have different development processes as well. Comparing something with others and inhibiting yourself from developing is a sense that we must live as soon as possible. Number 3, looking down on yourself. This is normal for every human being. It could be due to bad past experiences that make a person not feel confident or confident. If we are in a phase like this, try to learn to understand ourselves so we can respect ourselves more. Number 4, avoid interaction with the surrounding environment. When you feel insecure, someone tends to avoid interacting with someone, especially when the interaction contains various achievements that friends talk about. Immediately, we will feel more down when we hear it, even though when we can respond well and don't feel intimidated. We can actually get new insight from our friends' point of view, and maybe we'll be motivated to continue to want to grow. Okay, let's move on in the third session talking about how can I overcome insecurity. Number 1, focus on being and loving yourself. Being more and then loving ourselves allow us to know the strength and weakness that exists in us so that sooner or later we will understand the characteristics of ourselves. This aims to make it easier for us to take steps in the future to be able to find out and develop what really becomes our passion. The hope is that we can focus on our own goals and processes, not the processes and goals of others. Number 2, don't compare yourself to others. Comparing ourselves with others is not always a negative result, but generally a lot of energy is lost as a result of doing so, and indirectly comparing ourselves with others is toxic. Especially comparing ourselves with someone on social media, it will cause a lot of energy loss. Try trying to start focusing on the process and goals of your own life. Number 3, surround yourself with supportive people. Our friendship, environment, and the way we get along will be one of the factors that determine the nature and characteristics of ourselves in life. Making friends and being surrounded by unsupportive people will encourage us to become less confident and end up being insecure. Having supportive friends will make it easier for us to think positively and stay away from insecure thoughts. Number 4, find your strength and uniqueness. Trying to find our own strength and uniqueness will be more useful than us only focusing on comparing ourselves with others, because it could be that our own strength and uniqueness have a very high value and are useful for us in the future. Number 5, always be thankful. The last way is to always be grateful by being grateful for the many burdens that we think will slowly decrease and disappear over time. But what we need to remember is that being grateful is not enough. We must increase it by always trying and praying as hard as we can. Every human being has their own problems and anxieties. We don't need to deny or even avoid them, but we just accept it gracefully without having to compare it with others. If we feel inferior, let the energy and the first accept it, then try to always remember the various kinds of advantage that we have, the pleasures of life until now, and all the conveniences we get. A sense of inferiority will not last long in our minds. In conclusion, basically, the natural enemy of low self-esteem or insecurity is the inner network, the fear, such as fear of acceptance, losing a loved one, fear of failure, and other fears. Someone who has insecurities should not sink too long into the shortcomings that exist within themselves. It would be nice. He must believe in himself in order to have a more advanced and better life. Okay? Thank you for attention and for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.